All right, so when it comes to divorce rates internationally and in industrialized countries, we can see United States really blows everyone else out of the water. We have by far the highest divorce rates, with Italy having the lowest amounts. We see that usually like Catholic countries have the lowest rates of divorce. But I mean, we're almost double that of our closest divorced neighbor, which is New Zealand, and that obviously is going to affect the kids who are going through a divorce with their parents. The immediate consequences of parental divorce are instability and conflict in the home and a drop in income, especially usually for the mother. Um, Parents are usually going to be, having a lot of stress. There's going to be a lot of disorganization as they try to separate everything into two separate homes, where are the kids going to go, who's going to take them to the school and pick them up, and all of that. So the consequences of a divorce on children is affected by the child's age at the time of divorce, the child's temperament, and also the sex of the child, if they're male or female. Uh, After 2 years, we do see improved adjustment in the kids, but it does take about 2 years for everyone to kind of adjust to the fact that, the divorce is final and this is, how life is now. Boys and children with difficult temperaments are more likely to have problems. So boys are going to uh, have more difficulty trying to adapt to a divorce than girls are, and a lot of that is due to the mom usually gets custody, and so he's not around his father as much, so that causes a lot of problems for boys. The more the father is involved with the child after the divorce, the better the adjustment is for all the children, but especially for the males. The earlier a parent gets a divorce, the younger the children are, the easier it is for them to cope with it. As the children get older, it's actually harder for them to cope with it. So, if you don't get a divorce until your kids are 10, 11, 12, or even 15, 16, those kids have a much harder time being able to adjust to a divorce than younger children do. So to help our children get through a divorce, you want to shield the children from conflict, not let them see you fight. Just because the two of you can no longer stay married doesn't mean the kids need to see you being mean to each other, calling each other names. Provide some continuity for the kids, make sure that they, are still going to bed at the same time, going to school, being picked up, like all of that stays the same. Explain divorce to them and help them to understand that it's a permanent situation. A lot of kids feel like it's their fault that their parents are getting divorced, and a lot of them think that their parents will eventually get back together. So they need to be told, in no uncertain terms that neither of those things are true. Sympathize and empathize with their feelings, that this is hard for them and that it's confusing. Use authoritative parenting with, open communication and warmth, and promote both parental relationships. So, it's always best for the kids for them to have mom and dad in their lives, for a good amount of time. Now, obviously, if one of the parents is abusive or something, we're not going to want that. But if the parents are splitting up because of their own stuff, and otherwise they're fine individuals, then it's best for the children to have joint custody and be able to see both parents and not have the parents one parent talk badly about the other parent ever. When we get into blended families, so mom and dad start to remarry, the mother-stepfather combination is the most frequent and what the child is most likely to live with if they're from divorce. Boys usually adjust pretty quickly when mom remarries, but girls tend to have a harder time when mom remarries, so they don't adapt as well. Again, if the child's older and are an adolescent, they have a harder time when the parents remarry than if the child's younger. The father-stepmother combo is not as likely. The children usually aren't as likely to live in this combination, but it does happen. It often, though, leads to reduced father-child contact. So what we see a lot of time is dad gets remarried and a lot of times starts a family of his own with a new stepmother and does not see his children from his first marriage as much. Children that are in the father's custody usually react negatively. They don't like having their new stepmother. As we can see from many fairy tales, stepmothers, kind of get a bad rap. Girls and stepmoms are usually pretty slow to get along at first, but can have more positive interactions later on. So girls are pretty wary of their stepmoms, but the longer the dad stays married to the new stepmom and the more time that the daughters spend with her, they usually start to have more of a positive relationship with their stepmother. All right, so moms that work, this can be like a conflict. Some people don't think mothers should work. People say that mom's great, mom works. There are benefits and drawbacks either way. Benefits with mom working is moms tend to show higher self-esteem when they have a job. They tend to have more positive family and peer relationships when they work. Fewer gender stereotypes at home because mom, has a job just like dad does, and she has lots of responsibilities. Kids tend to get better grades when mom works, and when mom works, the dad is usually more involved than if mom's a stay-at-home mom. Drawbacks are there's less time for the children because mom is at work during the day and may not be able to be with them after school for a while. And there is a risk of ineffective parenting if both mom and dad work really long hours and, barely see the children. It could be that they, don't parent as well as maybe they could because they're tired and they're stressed and they may give in to their children more than they should and maybe aren't very good at setting rules and things like that. But that's just, it might happen. It's not going to happen. It may happen. It's really, based on, are you going to be able to be a good parent? What's your best way of being a good parent? So to support working parents, it helps if we have flexible schedules and things like job sharing. Unfortunately, we don't have a whole lot of that here in America, but in a lot of other industrialized countries, they do have more flexible schedules and job sharing for parents. Availability of sick leave is always important. Most parents take their sick leave for their kids, not for themselves. And so if you don't have a lot of sick leave, it can be, a strain on you when your child is sick and you have to stay home and you're not going to be being paid. Involvement with both parents is obviously important. Equal pay and opportunities obviously helps. And what's really important is quality child care so that the parents feel okay with being able to leave their child when they go to work. And again, we are lacking in quality, affordable child care here in the United States. All right, so that is the end for that chapter. And if you have any questions, be sure to email me and make sure you've read both of these chapters. And we will be starting on adolescence at the next week on Tuesday.